So I took none of it. No prescription of the 30 milligram of the prescription drug for sleeping. No 50 milligram of the over-the-counter that you can buy at any of the pharmacies. And no 20 milligrams of melatonin. So no cocktail, zero, not one pill. Later, 11 times how many days? I've had no pills. No sleeping pills, totally off them, never had to go back again. I go to sleep. My body has gotten harmonized. It's gotten equally harmonized frequently.
Hey, Kathy, thanks so much for coming to spend time with me today.
Hi, Tracy. Looking forward to it.
So, Kathy, can you tell us a little bit about how you were feeling prior to coming to QHS?
All right. Well, prior to QHS, I really have always been really well and really good and very positive. A type A person. I really didn't have much going on other than a little pain here or there. The twinges here, because when you're 74, you've got 74 pain, different kind of pain.
You're 74?
Yes.
Wow. I would have totally never guessed it. That's amazing.
My grandmother were good, so that's good. But wait till I look at the arc. I'm gonna look like we want to know we're gonna look younger, but our insides will, but how will we look outside? And I have some things that have been told from Archangel Michael about what's going to happen to me down the road after the arc. So that's a whole new story.
Oh, cool. Add that on at the end when we talk about the arc. But from what I've heard Dr. A say is that all of our cells are going to be that of 30. So if your outward appearance is, all your skin cells and they're 30, right. 1 + 1 = 2 on that for me. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Looking 30. That would be nice.
But you look so young now. You're gorgeous.
Well, thank you. I've got a lot of fine lines and wrinkles and saggy skin, and I refuse to do Botox or any of that other stuff. So
how bad that is.
Yeah, totally. I told all my friends, I said, I'm going to look like your mother one of these days. Not anymore.
I'll be grandma, but not anymore.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to interrupt. I digress, but Kathy, go ahead and let us know. So you were feeling good. You're just the aches and pains. Anything else?
No, I mean, there were things that were wrong that I wanted to correct, but I didn't know how to correct it. And I've tried to correct certain things in the past. So that'll be after we talk about getting the device and what really then happened to the things I wanted to fix that I knew were problems, not necessarily physical with my body, but other things that were wrong, like an addiction to certain medicines and so forth.
Okay. So when did you get your first device?
I just been, for me, it would be like, let's say end of August of 2022. So like a year.
Okay, awesome. And what did you notice first?
Well, first, and let me back up a little bit, because for the last 23 years, I've been the caretaker for my husband with very serious illnesses. So I retired early so I could take care of him. And then I had my parents in hospice. I took care of them. And so it was a whirlwind of just caretaking. And I knew I had to sleep. I was not sleeping. So I had been to the doctor many times, doctors, right? So I was, for 18 years, 15 to 18 years, I was on very heavy duty sleeping pills. I mean, the highest dosage of a certain medicine, I can say it, but I won't say that medicine. Plus, with that prescription, I then also had an over-the-counter with it, the highest over-the-counter you can get sleeping aid from a pharmacy, over-the-counter, plus an additional good amount of melatonin. So that was my cocktail of sleep. Now, I tried over many years because the doctor even knew I had to sleep or I couldn't do what I needed to do to take care of my husband, both my father and my mother. And then when they passed on, worse and worse for my husband for 23 years. So I knew I had to take care of myself to have at least 5 hours or 6 hours of sleep. I tried many times to not take that sleeping cocktail. I would take part of it, then I'd be up in the middle of the night having to take it again, or I wouldn't take all of it. And then I'd be up all night, wide awake and wired the next day. I would try many times because I didn't want to have the addiction, but it's a true addiction to sleeping medicine. It's just like hydrocodone. It's like a pain pill, really, the kind of addiction you have.
So can I ask you if what happens is that your original dose stops working, so you need to add a little bit something else?
I never add. Well, I tried the sleeping pill. It was a 30 milligram of this pill. It's the highest you could get. But I knew I really couldn't quite get to sleep, or I couldn't even get back to sleep if I didn't add the other from a basic pharmacy on the shelf, a 50 milligram of that, and then 20 milligrams of melatonin.
Got it.
So I was like really, but I would try maybe not the melatonin one night and the other two parts, or maybe not the over-the-counter and the melatonin, but always the prescription. I mean, many times, many different years, I would try.
Right.
I just couldn't do it. And I'm a strong person. If I can do it, I could do it. But for some, I just couldn't do it. It was really difficult. So I'd always get back onto the sleeping pills. I just had to deal with it. So, but yet I could wake up right away. Like take my dog to emergency veterinarian in the middle of the night. I'm wide awake and I could drive the car and go there. I mean, those things I could still do, even though I had all those sleeping pills in me. But yet it was able to get me to sleep, keep me to sleep better so that I could maintain being a caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened with the device, and I never dreamed this would happen because it never came into my thought process. It didn't think that this would be part of what could happen to fix it. So I had the device, like by the third night, I'm going, I feel a little tired. It's like, how can I feel tired? I never feel tired. It was like 10:30, 11 at night. I'm going, I feel tired. So I go, well, I'll take all the medicine minus the melatonin. So that's what I did. So I took the prescription drug and the over-the-counter, but not the melatonin. And I was able to go to sleep, get up, use the restroom and that, go back to sleep, kind of like usual, really. So the next night, the fourth night, I go, I'm tired again. I go, well, why am I going to do part of it and not part of it and this and that and A and B and C and whatever? I'm just going to not have any of it. So I took none of it. No prescription of the 30 milligram of the prescription drug for sleeping. No 50 milligram of the over-the-counter that you can buy at any of the pharmacies. And no 20 milligrams of melatonin. So no cocktail, zero, not one pill. Fourth night. It is how many nights later? 11 times how many days? Like almost 360 days. I've had no pills, no sleeping pills, totally off them, never had to go back again. I go to sleep. My body has gotten harmonized. It's gotten equally harmonized frequently with all the frequency. It harmonized everything I needed, hormonal, whatever it is, because I'm able to know I need to go to sleep. I can go to sleep. I can stay asleep. I'll get up, go to the restroom, because when you're 74, you have to go to the restroom maybe 2 times a night. I can go back to sleep.
Wow.
So, but I need like I still need like 9 hours of sleep now. It's like I was never that before, but now I'm continuously sleeping a longer time. But I'm able to do all that. And I don't have any desire, any need, any feeling like I have to get myself to sleep. I can't get to sleep. I got to not worrying about it. You don't have any of that worry. Your body's normal in that sense. So 0 pills after the 4th night.
That's amazing.
Never expected that to happen. That is like a story of like, wow. To me, that's a wow.
Yeah, it is huge. 4 nights. I mean, there's a lot of people I know.
The 4th night is like, whoa. It was like so quick. And that was the little black device. The little one. Not the one with the batteries, but the first prototype that was made, the smaller one.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't make anymore. So it wasn't even quite as strong as the bigger black one. So, but yet it really worked. It does work. We still have those even.
Wow, that's great. There's a lot of people who report improved sleep as being one of the first things they notice. So, but yours is actually
beyond
even
that.
more. Yeah, beyond because of the pills. So I
And
have
for so many years of addiction. It was a lot of years gone in 4 days.
Cool. Bravo.
I know. So then the other thing that I really had some problems with, carpal tunnel, and more on my left hand. I had been, because we like natural, my husband Douglas, who I caretake, he had some stem cell in his shoulder through a very good doctor in our area. He's an orthopedic surgeon, but he's also a naturopath. He does all the stem cells and all the different things, but he does sugar water glucose in all of your muscles, like 20 shots in your hand. You can imagine how that hurts.
Yeah.
So instead of cortisone, but it wipes out the pain, the glucose water.
That's amazing.
Sugar
Where do
water.
you live? What state do you live in?
I'm in Michigan. No one wants to move to Michigan.
Yeah.
But he's here. He's from Ukraine, believe it or not. I love it. He's just a sweet person of all. And I decided not to go in for any. I knew the devices were coming. This was like a year and a half ago before we knew we'd get them, but it took a long time for prototypes to get really to us. So I didn't want, the pain was getting worse and worse, both hands, more on my left. So I decided I wasn't going to go in for any glucose. I was way overdue. So I was in a lot of pain. I was putting Voltaren cream on my hand. I was like, oh my gosh. It was like solid pain. That's the only pain I really have in my body, was my carpal tunnel. Because we used to be on the road selling TENS machines. My husband and I, we did this for fun. And I would drive the car and my hands would be like this all the time for like 10 hours straight. And I just formed bad carpal tunnel. So I was able to get rid of that pain. It's not gone. So when I have it, I put it right next to the device, and within 5 minutes, it's gone. The right hand, I don't have to put it on the right hand. It's a constant, like little ache, but being on my body, that pain is mostly gone. But on the left hand, more severe, I'll lay it on there to get rid of more severe, but it's like almost never there. I mean, you don't notice it like it was a constant, terrible pain. So that's the only pain I really ever had.
That's amazing. And you avoided the pain of 20 shots. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. And then I have another big one. And because I did the hair samples with Darlene and all that. Yeah. So we saw that I had radioactive material in my body in the first couple printouts. And I had to think and think and think, oh yeah, because 40 years ago, when I was pregnant for our daughter, I got Graves' disease, which is overactive thyroid. It's called Graves' disease. It's a disease. Yeah. And they couldn't do surgery because I was pregnant. They had to wait until after birth. And then they gave me two options. I could drink radioactive iodine to get rid of my thyroid or have surgery. Well, in those days, they're 33 years old. They go, oh, I can't think about having a scar. I'll drink the radioactive iodine, which is like really terrible thing to do. But 40 years ago, we didn't know how, I wasn't aware of that.
Right, of course.
So, okay, so 40 years fast forward now, I get this test done in my hair. I've got the radioactive material in my body. I'm thinking, where did it? And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh yeah, I drank the radioactive material. Of course, it's still there. So then finally the hair sample came back and I don't have radioactive material.
Wow, that's so cool.
Oh, I mean, so we know something was working, right? To show it's clearing my body of something really bad.
Yeah.
That's not just toxic like food you're eating. It's seriously radioactive material. So, I mean, I was like Geiger counter kind of thing. You couldn't even be in the room with you when you have that. No one could be in the bathroom with you for 3 or 4 days. You're radioactive. You could get other people radioactive. It's really crazy.
And to think that doctors give that to people. I mean,
they still do it today.
What the heck?
My neighbor across the street just drank hers.
Wow.
Shrink her thyroid. It's like, hello. But here's what happened now. So I really have no thyroid because they had to take it out. So for 42 years, well, 41, because my daughter's 41, I've had to supplement with a synthetic thyroid, always like 150, 100 milligrams for 40 years.
Wow.
Always the same medicine. They have to check it all the time. What happens? Like this. It took a while to have this happen because now I've had the device for a year, right? So I'm starting to have symptoms like rapid heartbeat, like having to stop during the day and catch my breath because I'm like having to sit down, my heart's racing. And all of a sudden I'm going, man, I need to have my thyroid checked because it was way overdue. But that's one of the symptoms when your thyroid continues to be overactive again. Oh, but I don't have a thyroid, but too much medicine. Too much thyroid.
Oh, so you cut back.
My doctor calls me and goes, wow, way too much thyroid. You're taking way too much. I was on 100. So she took me down to 75. So that was like 8 weeks ago. This just happened. So, because she says, are you having any symptoms? Because I was doing a Zoom. I go, not really, because she goes, what about rapid heartbeat? But see, in the days of old, I had a tachycardia. My dad had I thought I had rapid heartbeat, all that. Really, not really, but you think you do, and you're going to have it happen, right? So I had a tachycardia in those old years of mine and rapid heartbeat. But I got over all that and never took any of that medicine for 30 years. But I go, I must have tachycardia happening again. I'm going, putting 2 to 2 together, rapid heartbeat. So I went in for my thyroid test, T4, T5, and different things to really measure it because she's good at measuring the test, but she's still on the bad thought process, this doctor. So she calls me and goes, wow, we gotta lower it to 75. So now I've gone from 100 to 75, 150 to 100 to 75. And then she says, we're going to measure you in another 6 weeks. So now I'm on the 75 for 6 weeks. I go in for the test. Gotta still lower it. They lowered it to 50 milligrams.
Wow.
So now I started that 2 weeks ago with the 50 milligrams. Because what's happened is the device is clearing and harmonizing and getting the frequency in my thyroid. It's such an important organ. The medicine is just, maybe I'm growing back some thyroid. I don't know. We won't know until we do an ultrasound. But something's happening so that I have to have less than enough medicine. And I don't even have a thyroid from 40 years ago because it was removed. So it's been lowering drastically because the device has done something to make it better. I can't say what it's doing.
You know what? Think about this.
Medicine.
So the radioactive iodine, you remove the radioactivity. So now it's not being damaged by that, which stayed in there.
There's no thyroid. There's a little teeny sliver of my thyroid still there.
My point. So because they didn't surgically take it out, right? So the radioactive destroyed it, which now when you remove the radioactivity, perhaps it gives it the opportunity to grow back. We know that your body makes over 1 million new cells every hour. So your entire skeleton is replaced like every 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me that if you remove whatever's damaged it, that it might have the opportunity to grow back.
I know.
I don't know. Something's working. That's really great.
I know, because I'll make sure before I go in the ARC to get a scan, ultra scan of because I'm going to insist that the doctor do it here. So we'll have that report because we need to know how much thyroid is there before, or else if I get to the ARC in Utah, whatever, they do that test there. I mean, they'll need to know certain things that are very specific for certain people to show what was, what is, and what's after, So yeah, that to me is just, that can be mind-blowing too, that you're growing back or you're having an overload of medicine because things are getting better in your body, even when you don't even have the organ or maybe not part of it.
Yeah, that's going to be so interesting.
Very unique. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that scan or hear from you about that scan to see what actually happened. I make up a lot of stuff in my head when I hear things. I'm like, oh, well, that actually makes sense to me. So, well, you just mentioned the QARC, which we have opportunity to come really, really, really soon. I know. Can't get here fast enough. So Kathy, what excites you to have this healthy 30-year-old body, but with wisdom and knowledge and experience to go along with it?
Oh yeah. Well, the awareness of the consciousness has always been part of my life. So that is always just expanding. I mean, and to go into our projects and the new earth and all of that, and to be young to do it. I want to live forever. I plan these projects back. I go back to 2008 in all of this. So we were trained about being humanitarians way back then, and had classes on what to do, how to think, and to reprogram our thought process back in 2010, 2011, before anybody even knew anything about it. And there were about 1,000 of us to just understand that we thought of ego, and that's how life was. But they were training us to think that's not what it's about. It's about others and helping others. So we were in these classes for like 2 years, every week. They didn't have Zoom then. We had to be on regular calls. So we were trying to rethink, they were trying to reprogram us out of probably MK Ultra thinking to a better way, so that we are the very beginning, because we were the very beginning, because there were no other groups like that at all, to how to think positive. So my thought process of thinking positive started way back. And I'm only just thinking of the future and what we can do to be younger, to be able to make it happen. And I have, wonderful things ahead. We all do. We're all going to be here together making it happen.
So is this something that the Cardin group provided? Was this humanitarian training or something else?
It was way before that.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Way before the Cardin group. So, and then after that, more years went by, and then I got connected to Cynthia with the Cardin group. But that only happened like in maybe 2015, 2015-ish, maybe 2014. No, it wasn't 2014, wasn't that early? 2015-ish, maybe with Cynthia in the Cardin group. So, but all that other stuff was like 2010, 11, early. So it was just an awakening for all of us, because we were learning what it even meant to mean anything about even being humanitarian. We didn't, what do you mean we're going to be humanitarians? How's that going to happen? Because we weren't thinking on how we'd expand, because see, they didn't have Zim then. They didn't have Zim then. It wasn't until around 2013-ish, the Zim came on the scene. And as soon as that did, it was only through Skype. People on the internet through Skype rooms were spreading the word. So we didn't know any of that. And so because we were starting to think to buy it, they continued those classes to let us know that's what it was about. Wow. They knew they had to do some teaching. So I'm part of that teaching. So my way of looking at, there's some other things I need to have fixed that are serious, that are in my body that I need to have fixed, that haven't been touched upon yet with the device, that I know will get fixed with, that will get cured, or I don't know about saying cured, but get out of my body from the arc. And I look forward to that dramatically. I've got some pre-cancer going on. I go back to having a depopulation when I was pregnant. When my mom was pregnant for me, there was a depopulation in the 50s and 60s that they gave medicine to those mothers that hurt the daughters. And I'm a daughter. I'm called the DES daughter. And there's millions of us out there. There were lawsuits after lawsuits, cancer of uterus and vaginal cancer and cervical cancer and death and lots of destruction and early birth and babies dying and preemies dying. It was a whole depopulation. We're very well known. We're called the DES daughters. It was called Stabestrol. It was a medicine made by Eli Lilly in Indiana. And those women for like 12 years, the mothers, my mother, was given that because they thought they would have a miscarriage. when there was, and my mom was a preemie nurse at a big hospital. She knew she wasn't going to miscarry, but she did what the doctors said, even back, and I was born in 49. So the last 2 years of the 40s and all of the 50s and the first 2 years of the 60s, that medicine was given to women. And what that medicine did was created all of us DES daughters all over the world. And a lot of bad things happened to us. We had cancer, pre-cancer, you name it. A lot of things. And part of my thyroid problem was probably from the DES.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
They've actually proven some of that now with the thyroid. It was created from the DES. I've got the statistics of the studies done, but it's taken 40 years to study it, to know. But majorly, it was with the female, parts of the body that were affected. And I have pre-cancer growing there. That's always been there. And they want to cut out parts of my privates. And I demanded that wasn't going to happen. Doctor said, don't come back until you want to have your surgery and have it all cut away. And then, because forget doing another biopsy, we're not even going to do another biopsy. See, they're even refusing the GYN oncologists to admit. And when they walked into the room to see me, the first thing they said was, oh, this is not I'm a DES daughter. They said, this is not a DES issue, because they had to cover their scenario, because this is the whole thing now. They want to make sure this is not DES related. Well, it is DES related. It was all related to what my mom took, and I'm the result of all those things happening.
Wow. I have never, ever heard of this, but I'm not surprised.
And all of our very detailed surveys that we had to do the very beginning of our devices, which were like 20 pages long. I mean, you heard about those, right?
Yeah.
I mean, mine's all submitted. That's all in there. Such detail of the DES, all the years, every detail of everything, every biopsy I had, everything's in there, because they said they have all of that, So
well, it's amazing that you found out about that. Like, I have
more than a magazine. There's like journals of doctor journals have all of this in it. You have to go searching it. I have it. I have lots of it, because I had to search it, but I didn't want to be part of the lawsuits, because it was just too, I go, you know what, that's okay. I'll deal with it. Well, I lost my first child because of the DES. That birth of that child came early at 28 and a half weeks. And it was because you can have a premature birth, but I went into preeclampsia toxemia more readily, because that's one of the things that can happen to a DES daughter. You go into preeclampsia toxemia, and then that child was born and lived for 3 days and died the second day. But that's my story about knowing I'm going to be young. But that's for another story we'll have, about the rebirth of my first child. I've been told.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. What did Archangel Michael tell you about?
Well, my friend that is so dear, she is a channeler. She's got the intuition. Archangel Michael talks to her all the time. She's got a direct connection to God's source. Just, I love her to death. And she's 51. So she knows she's going to give birth to her grandmother's soul. She's already been told. She's already talked to her grandmother. Her grandmother's come to her, and her grandmother's preparing in heaven, because the soul has to get younger again and able to be an infant, and a baby infant to be actually put into the womb. The soul has to regress to a smaller childlike. But her grandmother, I'm telling things I probably shouldn't say, but she's going to give birth after the ark at some point and be pregnant because she hasn't been able to get pregnant. She's got so many physical things wrong with her. She's got the ark. She's going to be in the ark. She's part of all this. And she's been told by her grandmother in the heavens that her grandmother will be the soul of her first girl.
Wow.
Her grandmother talked to her, specifically to her. And so did Archangel Michael, and so did God. So, but what I saw was I keep seeing visions and more visions of my son in certain things. And it was like very detailed things about singing the sunshine song when he was, because I only have a memory of a pregnancy. And I was so sick, I nearly died. I had to stay there for 2 weeks in Texas just to get well enough so that I could even fly home with my son's body. But I have a lot of things that have happened over the years of learning spirit and God and the reason. And I was such an innocent person. I didn't even know who I am was until I was 42 years old. And I spoke to God. God came to me. I am came to me, told me he had my Ryan. And I mean, I'm a long story of a lot of things, but I told Chrissy, my friend, what I thought. I think I'm being shown. I'm being shown Ryan needs to be reborn. I'm not thinking about me. So she says, I got to take this to God. This is what Chrissy said. So she saw some things and she talked it over with her husband. And she goes, and then Archangel Michael came to her and she talked to her husband and saw such confirmation in their backyard of a yellow canary that's so rare, and a hummingbird that came and sat at the perch like forever and just sat there for like 5 minutes. She saw the confirmations that God was showing her physically, because she said, I need to physically, because I can't tell Kathy anything until I have confirmation beyond what even you're saying, God. You got to show me physical. So she saw physical confirmation and she came to me and she goes, Ryan's talking to my grandmother. He's friends up there with my grandmother. And they're both regressing their souls because Ryan's going to be reborn and you're going to be his mother again.
Oh my.
Now, this is what, so I'm going, how can I process this? So I'm writing that, I'm journaling, I'm just seeing, I go, I got to have some confirmation. So I was at a special place where I was watching a very private type of video. And I looked over at the video and I had to stretch my neck so far to see it because I was in a position where I couldn't see it. And what do I see? I see the yellow canary that Chrissy saw in her backyard on this video, because I was dreaming and concentrating and meditating on how could I be his mother? Of course, he would choose me because I never got to be his mother. And he's choosing me to be his mother. How can it be possible? I need to know, God, is this even possible that this could happen? But Chrissy told me things are seen way before we would ever know, before I ever came to this earth, that this was going to be way back 40 years ago when he was taken from me, that I would be my child again. So when I was thinking about this, I look up and I see the canary on the big fat face of the yellow canary. That's such a rare canary with a little black stripe. I'm going, my head's like this sideways. I'm going, what? I go, my God, I just got, it's like how much better of a confirmation I had to be shown. And then, so now I've had to just internalize it. I know it to be. She says we're going to be pregnant at the same time. She's going to help me get through it, because she's going to have really be like 51. I'm going to be 74, but we're going to look like we're 32, right? But I thought maybe my daughter would give birth to my son and she would be the mother. But God made it clear, Kathy's going to be the mother. So, and Ryan, my son, came to Chrissy, my friend, and told her that he was like 7 or 8 right now, because that he was playing with his grandmother and they're regressing younger. And he was like 7 to 8 years old worth right now. They've been working on regression, and that he's coming to Earth.
Wow.
So that was like, so now they might be, who knows how little they are. I don't know. So, I mean, it makes me nervous, but I'm not worried. I mean, whatever is to be, right? It's like, how do you, but then I realized one of my purposes, because I've been shown this, will be to tell everybody in the world that will hear me that the teachings of what our souls do and how they will become, and because I've always told my daughter, we choose our parents. I told my daughter this 42 years ago. I've always known it. I know I was the beginning of a star seed back in 49, but I didn't have any support of that. But I taught them, and I taught my littles, my grandchildren, I call them my littles, that they choose their parents here on earth. That's a choice that they make. So it's always been, and the reincarnation has always been part of my life, even though I never learned it from anybody. I just knew it. But I knew that he chose me, and he's making sure he would choose me again. So I know my job will be to teach the purpose of how our souls choose our parents, and that things like coming back to be reborn will happen. And we come back and be reborn again. If you finish off your life on this earth, or in our new earth, it'll go maybe to a newer earth. And you'll have those options to be reborn into another family. So whatever that's going to be one of my big jobs. I never knew that, but now I know that's how I will have to put it into a teaching method of a story of how this is going to be, because it's beyond an understanding, and it's beyond a belief that people who don't even believe you get reincarnated are going to go, I'm a wacko, I need to be in some insane asylum. They're going to learn my story, because my story is going to be shown and told. And I know I have my Ryan in me from 42 years ago. Now he's being reborn.
And I hope Ryan comes with that memory.
Well, yes, let's pray he does, because you can come with that memory. You can come with the memories of certain memories, because I think the new children coming in as starseeds are coming with memories. They've got memories that we never had, that have a little more memory than we had no memory.
Yeah.
So
I was born in 65, so I don't know. But I mean, honestly, I've always been like a Bible thumping Christian forever, until maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, when I realized that there was so much more. So I'm just like I call myself a kindergartner surrounded by, college graduates when it comes to all of that, because it's so hard to break those habits that I've had for 40 years, But
you at least had habits of some Christian. I got born into a family that I had the devil in my basement all my life, and I had to fear and run to the devil. And I didn't know who Jesus was, but I would cry out to Jesus in the basement to be saved and run up the steps, running up the steps. So that was my life as a child. But my dad was part of the Masons. My mom was an Eastern Star. So I had to revoke all of those contracts when I knew I had to not have it be generational. So and then the devil followed me throughout my life and whatever. So, but I always called out to Jesus, not even knowing he was I am, until I was 42. So I had to learn along the way. Whatever I was, and I thought I was definitely from the Galactics. I would scream out to the ships to come get me when I was 10, screaming on my porch because I didn't belong to this family. So you have a lot of things with people that you just don't know where they've come from. And it's just, it's a life I would never trade. But also, one thing I want to get rid of from the Q arc is, of course, all the cancer that's there, and it will. But also, I have Tourette syndrome, which is very mild. I don't have a severe case, but it's driven me crazy for 74 years. So to not have that nothing's helped it with the Q wave. And in fact, it's actually gotten worse, because things can get worse with the Q wave. You can get different pains, harder pains, sharper pains. Like I used to have sciatica in my hips. that have gotten worse. I put the Q wave on my sciatica during the night. It'll make it go away, but it's always there every night when it was gone for years and years. So we've got things that are happening that are going to get fixed. So when the QR gets done, I've even asked them one of the questions when we had Dr. Alfredo on the call, because autism is one thing, but Tourette syndrome still, it's a neurological in your brain. It's a neurological disorder. It's where you have the tics and you have movement, but they're uncontrollable. I control them most of the time, like on this film, I'm controlling them to make sure I don't look like I've got all the tics, but they're there. And when you're a normal person in your own room, you're going to have, my family all knows, but there's really severe Tourette syndrome people. If you go look at YouTube videos, it's very sad. And it's a disease that's not known about. It's a disease that people don't know, like Parkinson's, they know about, but Tourette syndrome, they think we're freaks. So as a child, everybody thought I was a freak. I was, Kathy, we call names. So the devil, the freak, all these things are chasing you, but all I still did was chase Jesus.
Aww.
So, we have it was a good life. So when you look back, we can talk about it and teach people how we need to love everybody. Yeah. No matter who they are.
Oh, and that's so well said.
So
that's just love.
Yep. Yep. So there's my story all wrapped into one. A lot.
Wow. That was a lot. I am so excited to hear that though. And I think it's going to inspire so many people. So I look forward to seeing you post QR. Are you going to come back and do part 2 with me?
Oh, of course. Oh,
cool.
We're going to, because we get to go, we're the VIP platinum because we donated for the first devices and then we bought the home device. So we're right after you guys going in. So we had that private call with Cynthia. There were a few of us letting us know how close we were to going into the ark. But that was about 4 weeks ago, so we're still waiting. So yeah, we're going to be like at the front line of going in there. And it's like,
it's going to be amazing. And we have much work to do. And that's why, we're being prepared for this, and so it's just such a passion and so exciting. So, please have your friend Chrissy reach out to me. I would love to talk with her.
Oh, yes. I mean, she's got so much going on. She's got some severe things going on with her body that just went out of control where she couldn't even get pregnant at all. So I will make sure she knows I'm doing this right now. So, and she's having her birthday. She's gonna be 52 in like next week. So I'm going to make sure she reaches out so that we get that. Now that I put her story out there, she's going to go, no, you didn't say that. But she's young. I'm the one that's going, I'll be 74.
That's
we'll
awesome.
Have to see. I mean, I said it's God's will, right?
Oh yeah. And numbers are just going to be numbers moving forward. I mean, I'm going to be 58 soon. So, but if I have a 30-year-old face and a 30-year-old body, then they're not going to believe I'm 58, but it's just going to be a number. I mean, Noah lived to what, 400 and something?
I know. They lived to 700 and 800 in the Bible during some of those years.
Yeah. So I feel like we would choose if we want to transition out of here, and we can do that at any time. So, but for now we have a lot of work to do. So we need to roll up our sleeves and get cracking. It's
going to take us hundreds of years to really, this earth is going to be such a paradise. I can see it. I can see the beauty. It's just, the way it's here, it's just all buried right now. It's going to be so beautiful and magnificent. And you're going to want to live here. We're going to be in flying cars. But the beauty of the flowers and the colors, the scheme of the colors are going to change. We're going to have not just 12 colors. We're going to have like 50 colors in our rainbows. I mean, I can just see it. I envision it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you're a breath of fresh air, Kathy. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for making this QHS project fly. This valorous admin team, thank you. The Key community welcomes you. Thank you for making your home QHS healthy and happy. Thank you for helping us place QH centers all around the world. Together, hand in hand, we make miracles happen. QuantumHealingSystems.org. Thank you.